You are listening to the Estheticians Earning More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 215. Happy Monday. Welcome back. If you are listening to this live, you are still have time, hopefully, to join my free training that I'm doing today. If you are listening to it afterwards, try to get the recording because I'm going to record it and give it to everyone that's been registered. It's totally free. We're talking about how to plan now to have profitable January so that you don't have a really busy quarter four and then quarter one comes around and you just want to cry in the corner. Okay, today we're going to talk about something that I talked to a few people about when I was in Austin the other week at the Face Reality Acne Summit, and something that I've heard so many people say over the years. And I actually also received an email in regarding to this. And so I thought it'd be a really great topic for us to talk about. And that is saturation, esthetician saturation in your area. You know how I feel about this if you've been listening for a long time. So I'm going to tell a story I've told before. So I'm sorry if you are a long-time listener, you're going to have to hear the story again. When I decided to become an esthetician, I was leaving a pretty high-paying job at the time with great benefits, health insurance, all the things. And I had kind of decided I would be making, minimum wage plus tips. And I thought I'd be happier doing that than the job that I had, which my hair was falling out because I was so stressed. And I was having lunch with one of my best friends who was a hairstylist. And this is us in San Diego. And we're chatting about it. And I had no intention of opening my own business. I just wanted to work as an esthetician, do facials, go home every day and not be stressed out and just miserable. And as we were talking, our server was overhearing our conversation, and she turns and looks at me and she's like, I've been an esthetician for, I don't remember how many years now. She told me 8 years or something. 5 years, whatever. And there are no jobs here anywhere in San Diego. It's super saturated. So good luck. And turns around and walks away. And my friend was slams her hand on the table in front of me and was like, do not listen to a word that she said. And honestly, I was so committed to my decision at that point, it didn't really matter. But basically, my point in telling you the story is that people have always said this. And I did fine in San Diego, despite how saturated it apparently was. And I know, of course, I do agree that more new estheticians are going out and starting their own businesses on their own without working for someone, which I do not recommend. Not to say people aren't successful. I've met so many people that's been successful for them. But I think there's a lot of estheticians starting their businesses, not knowing what they're doing, failing. So people are seeing that and also being like, this is really hard. This is hard and people are not doing great. Having said all of that, I do not believe that we are oversaturated. One of the things that the CEO of Face Reality mentioned was that less than 5% of people in the United States see an esthetician. Less than 5%. So, and I'm sure there's a percentage of those people that have zero interest in ever seeing an esthetician, like my husband being one of them, right? My mom being one of them. Neither one of them have really any interest in their skin. Actually, my mom has seen an esthetician. I lie. But my husband obviously has no interest. So, there are people out there who want what you do. They don't know you exist. And I think that is the right way to look at it versus everyone's doing what I do and I don't, and there's too many of us. The other part of that I really want you to do that I work with my clients on usually to the middle of the end of our time working together, because usually there's fires we're trying to put out when we first start working together. And then once things get a little bit calmer, we work on this. And that is what makes you unique in your business. And also sometimes it takes my esthetician clients to figure that out because they need to again, get other things going in their business so that they can really feel that. And so if you don't know what makes you unique, that also will make you feel like you're in a saturated world. In San Diego, yes, I did Face Reality, which was not as saturated as it is now. I don't know how many hundreds of acne specialists they had at the time or people that were certified under them, but it wasn't a lot. I think maybe in San Diego County, there was 10 of us or something. And I don't know how many there are now. There's probably a lot more than 10. But I knew a number of the people that were in my area, and I knew we were just very different. We sold the same products. We may have even done the same protocols, like if they stuck to the face reality protocols like I did, but we were not the same person. And the way we approached our clients and the way we talked to our clients, and I'm not saying the way that I did it was better and the way that they did it was worse. It's just we were so different. So people who really liked me maybe didn't like the girl 2 miles from me, and vice versa. Maybe someone came to see me and they're like, no, this is like, it's not the right vibe, right? And I also want you to think, like, for you, especially as a solo esthetician, this is different if you own a spa, but if you are a solo person, like, how many people can you actually see? Like how many people can you actually see and help? Not that many people. If you're doing facials, I don't know, maybe 100 people. If you're doing acne, which is, they come every 2 weeks, even less than that at a time that you need to see. And if you're in a very populated place where there are thousands and thousands of people, like, there's more than enough people there that have acne or that need a facial or that are in my age range, 40 and above, that are like, these wrinkles are BS, like, I want these to not be here anymore, and I don't want to do Botox yet. I'm not saying ever, just not right now. So again, the need is there. Now, I do really want to talk about something, and I'll read part of an email that I got. And I don't know this, and only really you can know this. But I don't want to use this as an excuse, but I do want you to pay attention to this if this is an actual problem and figure out a solution. And that is, if the area you're in, people do not have disposable income, there is a very good chance your business will not succeed in the way you want it to. Not always, not always the case. There are certain, like, I feel like hair removal, this is not the case. Even maybe acne, this is not the case. But like for a facial or a corrective treatment, or a treatment alone is $200-$300. If your area that you're in, people do not have disposable income, it's a better chance it's not a good area. And I have a little bit of tough love for you. If this is you need to move areas where your business is. I have a client who was in an area that was like, I think people made money, but they didn't have as much disposable income. It's not like a poor area of the country. And she moved to another area, not super far away, but she moved her home, everything. And she has literally like tripled her business in 6 months, doing the exact same things. And the big difference is she's now in an area where people have more money to spend, and it's a need that they want to fill. Her clients, like, they may be complaining about groceries, but they still have money to buy groceries. Like, it's not like groceries or the power bill, which I know millions of Americans are experiencing right now. Like, I know that is not lost on me that people are actually suffering. But those people cannot be your client. That is not a fair expectation to have of them. If they are literally choosing between food and a power bill, they're not going to come and get a facial, right? Or they're not going to come and get whatever services that you do or buy skincare from you. So trying to sell to them is so hard. So you have to figure that out. And I am not an expert at that. You have to know. So like the town that I'm in, I think there are a good amount of people that probably have disposable income. There are definitely some expensive houses around here that are like over $1 million. But there's also a lot of poverty. Like there's like $1 million house and then like a house next to it that like does not have, like, is like falling apart essentially. So if I open, like we were going to stay here permanently and I wanted to open, I would definitely not open in my town. I would open, like there are a couple of neighboring towns where people have a lot of money. There's probably a lot more competition as estheticians there, but the income is higher, and I would just drive, 45 minutes each way if I knew that was a better area. Okay, so with that kind of just those thoughts, I wanted to read this email I got from a wonderful wonderful person. Hi, Brittany. I'm a licensed esthetician in Manhattan, Kansas, and I found your podcast. Thank you. She said some nice things about me. Thank you for that. I am in a very odd situation. Almost new estheticians are in the same position as I am in Manhattan, Kansas. Manhattan is so oversaturated with aesthetics practice as well as industry businesses that I've rented out a spare room to be an esthetician. Bella's Academy is located here in Manhattan. It is the go-to for what seems like every creative, curious, compassionate, and caring person, which is great. But where do the graduates go after getting licensed? Out of 15 estheticians in my graduating class, 0 have been able to find an opportunity to apply for an aesthetics position or find a business that would be willing or able to rent a space for an esthetician. This is true for the nearest city as well. So then she talks about different things she's trying to specialize in, to like permanent makeup and paramedical aesthetics tattoo licensing. So she asked, do you have any advice or strategy or insights into how or where I can look to find a partnership or a space where I can provide holistic skincare treatments, a place to start, sell the products that I love, a way to generate income with my knowledge as an esthetician? There are several indie beauty brands I absolutely adore and work incredibly well for all skin conditions and stages that I partner with, but I haven't found a place to start earning enough to purchase the bare minimum of equipment / back bar / retail needed for providing treatments or even making a living wage where I don't have to worry about rent and utilities every day. Okay, this is really tough. Okay. Really sweet woman, Katrina. Thank you for your email. Also, you can always email me. And I asked her if I could read part of her email on my podcast, because if I'm going to give out advice that's free, I always want to give it out in a public way, because that means other people can get advice from it too. Okay, so a lot of different things in this email. I remember, so my esthetician graduating class, I graduated in 2016, and there's probably about 15 of us, maybe 20. And I think I was like one of 2 that got a job. There were a couple of reasons why I think I was the only person, like one of 2 or 3 that got a job. One, I think not everyone was looking for a job, honestly, or they like went to a couple places and were like, I don't know. 2, people, I had so many networks that time, because again, I had been living in San Diego for, a long time, and I had many friends and acquaintances and contacts. And so everyone knew I was looking to become an esthetician and work as a makeup artist and things like that. And so I met people through people, and that's how I found work. So if you've truly pounded the pavement and you've gone to every single place that would hire an esthetician, they're truly not hiring anyone, I want you to think about it in other ways. So I want you to approach maybe a solo esthetician that seems really great and is super booked out. I want you to approach other people who may not be out there looking to hire and share with them about yourself. And I love the tenacity that this woman has. Tenacity is so important. When I got my job, she wasn't really she was burned out, but she wasn't really looking to hire because she had no energy to train. She had no time to train. She had no time or energy to build someone's books. It was kind of I'll hire you, but you're on your own, kid, which was so great because it was a boot camp for owning my own business. And so when I met her, I was an established professional, my previous jobs. And I was this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. And she was great, amazing, you're hired. But I also witnessed some estheticians that I worked with that I went to school with that, and I don't feel it's coming at all from this email at all, but there's a sense of entitlement. It's well, I have a license, so someone should hire me. Or they would apply to 2 places and not get a call back and would just be so discouraged and felt it's never going to happen. So I remember watching them and being you're not trying hard enough. You're just not trying hard enough. The amount of networking and talking to people I did to get the jobs I got were from my own blood, sweat, and tears. Now, if you have done the blood, sweat, and tears, I believe that could be the case. What I would do if I were you, I would get another job that is you're gonna an industry that's not gonna close. honestly, I always say like I would go work at a grocery store because, there's shifts. You can get paid pretty good at grocery stores. You can get benefits. The work itself is not hard. It's monotonous. It's physically exhausting, but like it's not super hard to stock shelves or whatever. Because you have that income coming in. And then consistently keep looking in your area and the neighboring areas for opportunities, whether that's a job or a space. And again, I would not rent a space. I just would not rent a space. I would just try to find a job. Because all of those things, like Katrina said in her email, are so expensive. And you need to have your personal bills totally been able to be paid for. And you need to have money to invest in that business. And until you have those two things, if you just jump into a business with no cash and that business needs to pay for everything in your life, you will be completely overwhelmed by it. Unless you have like a massive business loan that has like years paying back. But I've known estheticians that have done that, like have built out and taken out big loans, and they did it, I think, too early in their career, and they didn't have the clientele to support it. And it was very, very, very stressful for them. Very, very stressful for them. And I've also known estheticians that have done that and it's been really successful, but they already had a very strong clientele, strong business plan. It made sense for them to do that at that point. My question to you is, if you feel like you're in a saturated area, is what you're doing and how are you doing it unique? And if it's not, then you need to fix that. And are you expecting people to find you organically? Or are you going out and finding people? Because if you're expecting people to find you organically in an area where there's lots of estheticians that do what you do, you're going to be disappointed. And the reason I say that is because I have met estheticians over the years, especially when I was working as an esthetician, that had a perception that if I open a business, people will come. I remember that happened to so many of the women who opened businesses right next to me in the same salon suite as me. They just were like, I'm open, but no one knew they existed because how would they? Just because they are open means nothing. And they had to close their businesses very quickly because they didn't have any income coming in. So I don't think that it's that the industry is saturated. I think that people are always looking for what we do, especially in any kind of economic downturn. Of course, there are populations of people who want your services who do not have the money for it, and that is heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking. And you can always have scholarships and things like that once you are super profitable and you could take that loss. But if you are still building and you can't pay your bills or pay yourself, that is not the thing to do. Or you can do other things. I've known a lot of other estheticians that give back in a lot of really incredible ways, but they themselves are making money. They can pay their own bills. That's super important. You have to make sure you can take care of yourself. Yeah. So those are basically my thoughts about saturation and what to do if you are new, brand new baby esthetician and cannot find a job. There's no shame in getting a desk job or another type of job, waiting tables, working in a doctor's office, as a receptionist. There's no shame in any of those jobs, especially if they pay you bills, they have good benefits, you can rely on that income. And then in your off time, building a business and or working for someone else. It's not easy. It's a lot of work if you are doing that, if you're in that phase. But if you're like me, where I was doing that, I had 3 jobs at one point. I was like, this is so hard. I have to make the acne business work. I didn't even think that. I thought the acne business is going to work because I can't do all 3 jobs forever. I started to feel a little bit overwhelmed and stressed, And so I put my head down and made it grow. So that's it for today. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.